everyone, welcome to Nina Cucina. It is Valentine's Day and we're having a couple of friends over to celebrate our friendship and our love for one another. So I'm putting together a wonderful, delicious menu. Now I'm going to start with an appetizer that I wanted to have with champagne. Now what is not better with champagne than goat cheese? So I'm making my goat cheese grape truffles. They're absolutely delicious, creamy little bites that are only 57 calories, and they have 3 grams of protein and some copper and manganese. Now those are 2 forgotten minerals that we all really need. Now as a follow-up for the main course, I'm making my scallops with roasted red pepper sauce and a warm, spicy spinach salad. There's sweetness from the wonderful red pepper sauce, that spice from the spinach salad. It's absolutely delicious. Only 423 calories and a real protein powerhouse. 32 grams of protein and still 5 grams of fiber. Now this has all kinds of nutrition. More than 800% of the recommended daily allowance for vitamin K. Filled with vitamin A, 326% of the RDA, and 258% of the recommended daily allowance for vitamin C. Absolutely filled with antioxidants. As a dessert, I'm doing something really special. Now, of course, if you've been watching me for a little while, you know I am a chocoholic. So, of course, I am making my luscious truffles. And these are not only luscious, but they are vegan. They are totally free of dairy and gluten. Only 170 calories for a chocolate delight. 4 grams of protein and 4 grams of fiber. Now, these are very rich in manganese as well. 21% of the recommended daily allowance. Now, manganese is one of those forgotten minerals. It helps the body synthesize fatty acids such as omega-3s, and it also helps maintain blood sugar and your nerve health. So it's important to get enough of it. We're going to start by making the goat cheese grape truffles. I have ground up some walnuts in my food processor, about 1/4 cup, and we're going to be rolling our truffles in these, as well as some pistachio. You can use any nuts that you like. These are 2 of my favorites. Pistachios are actually the lowest calorie nut that there is, and they also have a lot of fiber. I just like the 2 for the 2 color difference. I am going to start by putting my goat cheese right in there, and I want to get it a little creamy. So I'm going to give it a spin. Let's lock this down. And once you see that goat cheese moving all the way around the bowl, you know that you're perfect. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chop some of this beautiful, green, fragrant tarragon. Take my knife and give this just a little bit of a chop. I really don't need to chop it too much because, of course, my food processor is going to do most of the work for me. Into my food processor it goes. Just pop it on in. Just a dash of salt. Don't need too much because cheese, of course, is salty. And about 12 grindings of pepper. Oh, that looks great. Now, I'm going to scrape it into another bowl here. Let's get this out of the way. Only because it'll just make it easier for me to handle. Just going to scrape that right out of the bowl. You can see all that wonderful color in the cheese. It's just yummy. I could just eat it out of the bowl just like that. This is how we're going to put it together. I'm going to be using my handy mini ice cream scoop and my grapes, and I've got here a bowl of water, and everything is going to go directly onto my serving platter. What we're going to do is we're going to take just a scant half scoop of our cheese, and I'm just going to dampen my hands just a little bit, just so I don't get all sticky with cheese. Now I'm going to put that little bit of cheese into my palm, and I'm going to pick a small grape. You can go back and forth to one red, one green, whatever you like, and just plop it right in the middle of that cheese. And you're just going to cover it up using your water as you need it. Cover that grape up, roll it into a little truffle ball. See how simple that is? Come out round and perfect, just like that. And put it into a nut bowl. Now I'm going to go back and forth between my walnuts and my beautiful green pistachios and my red and green grapes. Just roll that truffle and just put it right into your nut bowl. Perfect. Now I'm just going to pop these into the refrigerator and let them cool. Now if you're running out of time and you've got a really fast dinner party, you can always pop them into the freezer for what I call a quick cool, and they'll firm up in about a half an hour. But we've got plenty of time, so I'm putting them in the fridge. Now that we've got our goat cheese grape truffles cooling in the refrigerator, I'm going to start with dessert because it needs to cool also. Now our truffle ingredients are very interesting. We have got some dried apricots. Now I have actually soaked these a little bit so they're nice and soft. I've got about a half a cup of walnut pieces and a quarter cup of raw cocoa. I've got just a little bit of stevia, and this is Chambord. Now Chambord is raspberry liqueur. I've got about 2 tablespoons. Here I've got my rolling nuts. I've got actually coconut, which is fruit. I've got a nice fine grate, some nice ground almonds, and some ground pistachios. Once again, I just ground those in the food processor, easy as pie. All right, let's get started putting this all together. I'm just gonna put my walnuts in, seal off my food processor. Now they look great. They kind of are like a flour, and they're going to help me with my apricots. So in the apricots go. They're already beginning to look chocolatey to me because I love these. Okay, let's go ahead and add the cocoa and my Chambord. Just pour that right in. I'm going to sprinkle my stevia on top and give that a spin. And we're going to do a couple of spins and a couple of scrape downs. That should do it. Now I have got this luscious, creamy looking chocolate mass here. Give it a little taste. Make sure I've got it sweet enough. I've got a wonderful raspberry flavor from that Chambord. Rich chocolate flavor. It's just fabulous. This is the hardest part. You can't eat it out of the bowl. You have to make the truffles. And that is tough. That's how you know you love your husband, when you make that decision to make him the truffles instead of eating them out of the bowl. Just going to scrape this luscious chocolate mixture into a mixing bowl here. Great. We're going to make little itty bitty balls with my trusty mini ice cream scoop, and we're going to dip them in our nuts and our coconut. I have a little bowl of water here just for good luck, because I'll need it when my hands get sticky. Just a nice even scoop. Get my hand a little wet here. Scoop it into your hand. Make a nice ball. Now, those apricots, they give real body to your truffle. There we go. Into the coconut. We're going to just keep making little balls, little truffles, and we're going to keep dunking them in the different bowls. This one's going to go into the pistachio. There we go. And this one will go into the walnuts. A little extra water. That water bowl really does help. Perfect little sphere. Now I've got a couple in my bowls here, so I'm just going to roll them around. These are really delicious and make a perfect ending to Valentine's meal. Aren't they just adorable? Now I'm going to go ahead and pop these into the refrigerator, and before we get started with our main course, I'm going to show you how I like to serve my goat cheese grape truffles. Now I've just gotten my goat cheese grape truffles out of the refrigerator and they're nice and firm. So what I like to do is I like to make a little bit of an arrangement in the center of the plate. Almost in like a little flower. And I want to just put a couple sprigs of tarragon on the plate. And I'm going to just arrange some grapes around. There we go. Just like that. Now, all we need is a little glass of champagne. Now let's get started making our main course. Now we're going to start with making the roasted red pepper sauce first. So let's roast some red peppers. I've got 3 red peppers here for 4 people. So if you're planning this for more, just plan about 3/4 of a pepper per person. I'm just going to remove the core here. Get rid of these little extra seeds that came with it. Just cut that core right out. And I'm placing these cut side down on my broiler pan that I have lined with tin foil. I love making the cleanup easier. I'm just going to drizzle a couple of teaspoons of grapeseed oil on the tops here, and I'm going to give them a nice little massage and just cover them with that oil. So when we put them into the oven, they can get nice and crispy. Now I'm going to put them into the broiler, which is on high, for about 10 to 15 minutes or until all of these skins are nice and charred. While my red peppers are roasting in the oven and getting nice and crisp on the outside, I'm going to get started with my vinaigrette for my warm, spicy spinach salad. Now I've got my ingredients right here on my work surface. I'm going to start with a little bit of 2 of my favorite things from All of a Sudden. I've got some wonderful extra virgin olive oil. This is the Fontollo Verde that I'm going to use, and I'm using it because it has a really peppery finish on it. It tastes very green, and you'll see the color. It is very green, but I love that peppery finish for my spicy spinach salad. It really brings up the heat in my other ingredients. And my favorite white balsamic vinegar is their cranberry pear, and I'm going to be using that as well in this vinaigrette. I've got some other ingredients here, about 3 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, a couple of teaspoons of minced garlic, a little bit of vegetable oil to give it a nice viscosity, and some chipotle. Now that is going to give it the last little bit of kick. And I'm going to do it all right here in the blender, the way I do all of my vinaigrettes, because I like it easy. Now we're going to use about 3 tablespoons of the cranberry pear white balsamic. Let's use about 1/4 cup of the Fantoio Verde. There goes 1/4 cup of that beautiful green olive oil. And I'm just going to toss in my Dijon and the garlic and my vegetable broth and the nice heat. I'm not even going to add salt at this point because the Dijon mustard has a nice salty little kick. It smells fabulous. I can really smell the cranberry pear balsamic. Now I'm done with this for now. I'm just going to set it aside while I get my peppers out of the broiler. I've just gotten these out of the broiler and you can see how charred they are. This is exactly how you want them. You don't have to have them this charred, but you want them nice and black. And I'm going to tell you why. The more burnt the skin is, the easier that it peels, and that's what we want. Now I'm just going to take them off of this broiler pan here and put them into a bowl. Now we're just going to cover this with plastic wrap. And what's going to happen here is the steam rising up in the bowl is going to loosen the skins and make it easy to peel. So I'm just going to go ahead and set these aside so they're cool enough for me to handle. Now my peppers have cooled and you can see that there's some condensation that is formed underneath the plastic wrap. And that's one of the indications that you'll have that they are ready to peel. Now I'm just going to peel off my plastic wrap and dump that. And you can see that they're just falling apart. They're nice and cooked. And you can do most of this with your hand, but I have my knife with me just in case. They come off really easily when they're nice and charred. Now I also have some wonderful juices accumulated in the bottom of my bowl. I'm going to pour them into my blender as well. Now I've just pureed them in the blender until smooth, and I'm just going to add my cream sherry, about a ½ teaspoon of sea salt, my nutmeg, and my white pepper. Now, has a beautiful consistency. It's got that gorgeous bright orange color. I'm just going to pour it right into a small sauce pot, and we're going to place it on low heat to warm. Now I'm just going to give this roasted red pepper sauce a nice little stir. I'm going to turn the heat down to warm, and I'm going to cover the pot. Now what's going to happen is all of the alcohol in the cream sherry is going to burn off, and it's going to leave that wonderful caramelly flavor. It's just going to be great. Now that I've got my roasted red pepper sauce warming, let's start to make the poaching liquid for my scallops. Now that's what's special about this dish. We're not going to sear the scallops. We're going to poach them in wine. I'm going to pour about 2 cups of Chardonnay. This doesn't have to be expensive wine, just flavorful, anything that you like. About a cup of water. And we're going to use about a teaspoon of salt. I've got about a teaspoon of whole pepper and a cute little bay leaf. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in a spice bag. And the reason being is I don't want my pepper to be floating around in the pan with my scallops. I'm just going to place this over medium-high heat to get it bubbling away. While my poaching liquid is heating up, I'm going to deal with my scallops. Now I've got these absolutely gorgeous, extra large sea scallops. Now when you buy fish, it shouldn't smell fishy. It should smell sort of sweet and like the sea. And these are beautiful and fresh. Now what I'm going to do here is a little sneaky trick. I'm going to slice these in half lengthwise, just like that. This is a pound of scallops for 4 people. That's 4 ounces of flesh per person, and that's what you're supposed to have. But with this little trick, everybody thinks they're getting more. So that's why I do it. Slice them all in half. Now I'm using my meat cutting board here so I don't cross-contaminate. Start putting them back on my plate. Okay, now let's pop them in the poaching liquid. Our poaching liquid is bubbling away, and I'm just going to very carefully and slowly just drop them in. You do not want to splatter yourself with hot liquid because this pan is sizzling hot. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover this up. I'm going to bring it to a quick little bubble, and then I am going to turn it off. I don't want to overcook my scallops. These cook rather quickly, and now we're going to put together the warm, spicy spinach salad while these poach in the hot poaching liquid. You remember my spicy vinaigrette? Well, here it is. And now we're going to put together my spicy spinach salad. I have here about 12 ounces of organic baby spinach. Now, when you look for this, do yourself a favor. Get the pre-washed kind. It really saves you a ton of time. Now, I'm going to bring it right over to the stove, and I have preheated this pan over about medium-high heat. Now, I know it's ready because I can feel the heat radiating up from this pan. It's really hot. So I'm just turning it down just a tad. I'm going to pour into the pan my vinaigrette. And we're going to start putting that spinach in and just stirring it around. Now, just like any salad, I'm just going to toss it. What's going to happen here is that my spinach salad is going to wilt, and it's going to absorb all the beautiful flavors of that vinaigrette. Now, that's just perfect. Now, I'm just going to cover it and turn it off, and we're going to plate this dish. You're not going to believe how beautiful it is. Now, I've moved all of my pots over to my work surface to put this plate together. Wait till you see how pretty it is. We're going to start with the roasted red pepper sauce, which is nice and hot and bright orange. And all you need is a little spoonful or so around the outside of the plate. You're just going to swirl that around. Just like that. Now, a little bit of the hot and spicy spinach salad. I'm just going to give it a little toss. And right into the center of that plate, we're going to place the spinach salad. Now that's nice and warm. Now for my scallops. Now we're going to make a little flour on the spinach. I'm just going to scoot this over just a little bit. I think I'll just trade these guys out. And I'm just going to carefully place. We'll do 5 or 6. There, just like that. Now, we have a beautiful arrangement. Now, doesn't that look special enough for Valentine's Day? Your loved ones are going to love this dish. I'm just going to bring this one to Roger. Now, I've just pulled my luscious truffles out of the refrigerator, and they're nice and firm, and they look absolutely, delicious. They're a huge temptation for me, but I'm going to put them together as I would for my guests. Now, I've gotten really corny this year for Valentine's Day. I've got my heart platter that I just got at a craft store, and I've got these adorable little candy wrapper cups with hearts on them. I just love them. So guess what I'm going to do? This is how I'm going to serve them on Valentine's Day. I'm just going to put a truffle in the little cups, and I'm going to make a heart in the middle of my heart platter. So let's get some of these little cups going here. Now there we have it. How cute is that for Valentine's Day? A heart-shaped platter filled with luscious truffles. Oh, they're absolutely delicious. You're just going to love them. I think I'm going to try just one. Maybe pistachio. No one will ever know. So chocolatey. You can really taste the chambord and the nuts on the outside. That little bit of crunch, absolutely luscious. No one will ever be able to tell. Thanks for joining me today at Nina Cucina. Happy Valentine's Day.